All right. I just want to tell you, when you do YouTube stuff, you learn to hate cameras, SIM cards, all that stuff, because it acts up. So anyhow, gonna do third oil change in the KLR. Did initial at about 500. I did another one at 1,000. I'm just over 2,000. I'm gonna do another one. I just took it up in the woods, pounded the guts out of it, launched it, jumped it, up hills, down hills, rocks, roots. It's plenty warm. Got everything in the motor knocked loose, all the junk and the sludge. So I'm gonna go ahead and crack everything loose. I just have got a Tusk oil filter here for the bike and some Castrol Activio 10W40. That's what I'm putting in. Some guys use Rotella, some use different weights of oil. I run the 1040 all summer long here in the Northeast. Always have, it does fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop some bolts loose and drain this oil out. It is hot, so I got my little sissy gloves on here. I'm gonna crack this loose, the filler, 17 millimeter. Crack that loose. And I'm not going to be using a new crush washer. I just reuse the one that's on there. They recommend you use a new one. And I'm just going to use the same O-ring up here on the oil filter cap. I'm not going to put a new one on. They do recommend you do that. This oil is going to be hot and probably going to scorch my hand. Woo! There we go. Ooh, that is running like water. That is hot oil. Hot oil. Got to get a rag. With filter change, 2.1 quarts. I'm sure you guys all have your manual. You know that. I got my 2 quarts plus one that I always take the 0.1 out of for all the bikes. And I'm going to do something. A lot of guys were sending me hate mail in the last oil change video because I didn't tilt the bike straight up to run all the oil out. To me, that's not a big deal. If the manufacturer wanted you to do that and tilt it up to get the last little bit of oil out, they would put that in the instructions of your oil change. But I get it. I get it. You want to get that last bit of everything out, tilt the bike. Well, you can see, look, I tilted it and like 2 drips come out. There's a little tiny bit running out extra there, so I'm going to shush this around and get it all out. That water is hot and running. I mean, that water, it's like water. It's oil. It's about the consistency of water. I'm just rocking it back and forth. Keep all the keyboard warriors happy. Get every last bit of oil that you can wring out of it out. Okay. Still dripping a little bit. Like I said, I'm using the original crush washer. I'm not going to put another one on. I'm going to go ahead and get some rags up here and go ahead and pop that filter cap off. Let's do it. Might have some plumber's crack coming out there. All right. I could really care less if the oil runs down over everything. I just pressure wash it off, but for the sake of the video, and people will be like, why did you let that oil, disgusting oil, run all over your motor and make a mess? You're a pig. Well, I do care about my machines, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be changing the oil so often. I'd be going with the manufacturer's recommendations. I think these bolts are the same length from memory. Yes. These are the same length, so you don't have to worry about getting them mixed up. Little tab here you can pull on. To get your, well, that is hot, oil filter cover started off. Get a pair of pliers. Called needle nose. Make sure this is the correct filter here. Don't want to lay it down on the dirty floor. My shop floor is disgusting. Okay, you pull this out, and lots of videos on there. It has this little sleeve right here, little flow hole on it right there by the needle nose, if you can see that right there. Okay, I'm going to put it back in just the way it come out, and it already has a little bit of oil on it to help it go in there. Okay. Now you always have a little bit of oil laying in the back of this, so you want to get that all out, run it out into your rag. But I know on my KTM they like you to dump oil in there to kind of get a pre-lube for the pump. Okay, make sure your seal is nice and clean, no dirt or anything under it. Put it right back the way you got it. Whoa, slick. Make sure they thread in easily with just your fingers. 8mm, and just gently side to side. I do not have the torque specs on this. I just give it a 50-year-old working on stuff torque feel. You'll pull them right out of the case. Okay. That all wiped off. One thing you do want, even though I took this for a ride, got it all warm, I didn't go through a bunch of mud and garbage to get the bike all dirty. The bike's still relatively clean. It's been dry here for a couple weeks, so don't forget to put your bottom drain plug in. I'm going to lay down here and kind of get filthy dirty so I can, ouch, that damn filter's hot. I'm going to get up in the hole here. It doesn't have any hair on it, so I can't feel. Now I have a skid plate, so kind of got to get your fingers up in the skid plate. Got it going. And in my other video, my last oil change, I did adjust the doohickey. So you could do that every oil change if you wanted to. Just give that a snug. I don't have the torque specs again, so look those up so you torque it correctly. And now I'm ready for my fresh oil. 2.1 quarts or 2 liters with filter change. I don't need that. So one thing about this KLR, it's got a big wide mouth filler here. Get right to it and dump it in. One quart. Number 2. Look at that going in. Nice and clean. Beautiful golden color. Delicious. Oh boy. This thing is going to run good. Fresh oil. Now, be sure to measure out your 2.1. I just kind of eyeball my 0.1, and then I will check it after I run it as per the directions in the manual to make sure it is reading the proper amount. Okay, tightened up. All the oil that I don't want running everywhere back. You do get little stickers. You buy these Tusk oil filters, they give you little stickers like that to write your info down so you know when you changed your oil. I'm not saying they're the best filters, but they are economical, and this is what I use. Okay, let's see if it fires up and pumps oil. Sounds good. Did you guys notice? I started that. It was running when I blipped the throttle. I even got the fuel pump recall. And still occasionally, if I started up and hit that throttle within the first 20 seconds, sometimes the bike will shut off. What is it? Don't know. Some things you just live with if the bike's running good. So I will let that bike run for a while, shut it off, let it cool down to where you're supposed to, and check the oil. Like, subscribe, pull your bike in from outside, change the oil, give it some love. Thank you.